Welcome to Mailbag. This is a series of videos about questions that you guys have left on the channel. I normally block them up into a series that I can record in an evening because that's how many questions you guys leave. So what you'll be seeing is this block header, and then you'll see the individual mailbag items that will follow as the next part of the video. But before we get into mailbag, which is about questions and answers and comments you guys leave on the channel, we must do the channel parish notices. And if you like videos about legacy tech, musical instruments, EDM, anything like that, hit the subscribe icon, because that's what this channel's all about. If you want to be notified when such videos hit the channel, it's the bell icon. Save yourself some time, hit both together. If you like the contents of the video, please give it a thumbs up. And also, I love you guys leaving comments on the videos down below. I read them, I comment on them, and sometimes you even give me ideas for future videos, which is really great stuff. It also allows other people to comment on something you've raised against a topic that was discussed in the video. Really, really good stuff. Also down there, Facebook and Instagram. Becoming more and more popular with you guys. A lot more of you are talking to me on those channels. Keep it up. It's probably the channel I'll respond to you most quickly on, because it's the channel in my pocket, as in it's on my phone. But please follow me on those particular platforms, and you'll see the normal channel shenanigans. And finally, down there is the important one. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can support the good work that this channel does towards EDM and legacy synthesizers. And now back to this video. Okay, this next one comes from N8 Goulet. In response to it's quite a long thing. This was in response to the Nautilus Korg's MODX W30 built-in utility and treatment of critics video I did in April 2021. And it's several pages long, so you'll forgive me that I probably will read this, because I can't just glance across and remember what the question was. He writes, a few things to note for shoppers. Comparing between the Nautilus and the MODX. The MODX is not only less than half the cost of the Montage, but also less than half the weight. The user interface of the MODX from the touch screen is identical to the Montage. The MODX is compatible with not only the Montage, the entire Motif series that dominated much of the 2000s. The 61 key version of the Nautilus, the only version I would have considered, is a mere £2 lighter than the Kronos. Yeah, there's not a lot in it, I have to be honest. The user interface of the Nautilus is totally different than the Kronos. The tech support issues are going to be more complicated with fewer exports to run to. The MODX users are on the same page as the Montage users. The Nautilus at first was thought to be incompatible with the Kronos, although included in the factory sounds and DNA. Much later, Korg announced the conversion tool, but it's questionable from the announcement would it be 100% compatible with all the Kronos sound libraries. The Nautilus does include a better quality keyboard than the MODX, but still lacks aftertouch. The Nautilus pretty much strips out many of the same kind of things the MODX did from its big brother. The Nautilus appears to have a more durable case than the MODX. At present price points, the MODX provides a lot more bang for your buck. And I always think that's a really important thing to think about when you go to buy a keyboard, especially if you're buying a new keyboard, a modern keyboard. And most of you know I've bought into the Korg ecosystem, okay? So, you know, I've got a Kronos, I've got an Oasis, I've got a T1, I've got an M1. I will shortly have a Triton as well, if that transaction comes off. But it's very true. When you go to buy a new keyboard, you know, you've got to look at what features you're getting and how much is it costing you. You know, if you're only getting one or two new things and it's going to cost you another $1,000, is that really worth it? Anyway, we carry on. It offers you a lot more bang for your buck. Offers more sound collections to tap into. Is lighter to gig and much easier to get online support from other users because montage users are on the same page of how the synth operates. Weight is a huge factor for the gigging users. I can't agree more with that one. Unless Korg drops its price significantly, I think the MODX will continue to be either the best-selling synth or one of the best-selling synths. At present price point, most people interested in Korg Kronos technology, I think, would be better off with a Kronos. I probably would agree with that as well. And probably buy a used one for the price of a Nautilus, and I would agree with that. I do think Korg have managed to completely cock up their pricing structure for the Nautilus, but anyway, I think this is great information of the assessment of the MODX versus the Nautilus. I can't do that assessment because I don't have a MODX. I agree with the assessment on price. I'm not sure that Korg have pitched the price point close enough to the MODX. And if the price is differentiated, then I think a lot of the target audience are going to go for the Yamaha product rather than the Korg product. Anyway, publish this channel so other people can make comments, so see what other people came up with. Now, Nugget then responded saying, not only on price point, but also to the gigging musician like me, there is a great value in lighter weight gear. To me, a MODX is more valuable than montage because it does what I need of the montage. Is half the weight. I do not have, and I have enough gear to carry. And at 3 a.m. when I'm home and going up the steps, it's really nice to have the job a little easier. Oh God, I remember those days. My initial attraction to the MODX was super light, slight weight and compact size with a 61 key synth with a current flagship synth engine. You know, there are a lot of arguments here for why the MODX is a better synth than the Nautilus for somebody who is gigging musician, who's out on the road, you know, X nights a week. And I've got to be honest and say I'm not a gigging musician. I haven't done gigging in that sort of area for many, many years, but I can relate to moving equipment around at 3 a.m. in the morning. I used to do that all the time. The car or van needs to unload before you go to bed, because if you left stuff in the car or you left stuff in the van, if it got nicked, you were uninsured. It was as simple as that. I used to have a van with a separate load compartment where I could back it up against the garage late at night and then use a parking clamp on the front wheel to immobilise it. Oh God, yes, I did. I had this white VW Transporter that you couldn't get into the back of it from the cab, and I used to back it right up against my parents' garage, and then and then lock the front wheel so nobody could actually open the back doors of the van. Oh God, I remember that. But I do really understand where you're coming from, as the van was exactly what I had. I had to do that. The next morning I had to get up. Even if I'd done a 3 a.m, I still had to get up the next morning and unload the van. Yeah, oh God. He writes back and says, gigging is all I do. I don't record music in a studio normally, so the MODX is invaluable to me as the most powerful, lightweight synth I can buy. And the backpack Yamaha offers my hands-free to carry other gear. Saving additional trips to the vehicle, I personally pay more for the MODX than a montage. Like laptops, some companies charge a lot more for lighter weight electronics. Back 20 years ago, I considered buying a Toshiba that was suitable portable for about $2,000. But for the significantly less money, I could buy a laptop also from Toshiba that was far more powerful in a standard size. So I went down that road. And that's logical. Really is logical, isn't it? In the case of the montage versus the MODX, Yamaha offers a lightweight option for half the cost of the heavier one, not the other way round. It's a bit bonkers. Something seriously to consider. The compact size and lightweight of the MODX was what first attracted me to this. As I already had heavier keyboards that were capable. It seems to me buying a Kronos makes a lot of sense for the average person seriously interested in the Nautilus. It's not enough of a saving to lose so much and not gain significantly lighter keyboard versus its big brother. If the cost difference is the attraction to the Nautilus, buy a used Kronos. He's made that point twice. Buy a used Kronos. You get a lot of bang for your buck with a Kronos, especially even with a used one. If you can pick up, I'm going slightly off topic, but if you can pick up a early Kronos, so the original Kronos, the Kronos X, not necessarily the 2, but if you can get yourself one of the early ones, it uses the same synth engine as the 2. Okay, it's exactly the same. and you can have it running exactly the same software that you run on the 2. It's just that between the original, the X, and the 2, and the models that have come out since, all they've done is up the processing power of the machine itself, but the software is the same across the entire platform. And that's something I commend Korg for, because they made a complete cock up with the move from Oasis to Kronos. Anyway, I'll go back to this. The MODX is a dream for us gigging musicians. Very lightweight, significant discount, yet so close to its big brother, the Montage. And another difference, the Kronos is very slow to boot up. At my last gig, the power got tripped, as happens sometimes. Now, I always, if I'm in a strange environment, even in the studio, I always have an APC, right? It's invaluable. If you're a gigging keyboard player, get yourself an APC, put it in the bottom of the rack. Yes, it will add weight to the rack, but you will thank me for saying that, because the APC stops your keyboard from rebooting because the guitarist has just earthed the supply, and believe me, that happens more common than you think. And your keyboards don't go down, and the APC allows you to run those keyboards for 10-15 minutes while they reset the supply. So you don't lose anything. As soon as the supply comes back on, your APC recharges. And the other thing it does, it also smooths out the supply so you don't get surges and spikes. Anyway, the MODX boots up in about 15 seconds. The Kronos, I believe, takes a couple of minutes. Not sure how long the Nautilus takes. No, I've got no idea either. But it could be important for a live performer, as we're often being rushed. Okay, I've just said the piece on that. And I think, I think you've hit the nail on the head with respect to the Nautilus and Kronos debate. Apart from the fact that I do like the new case design of the 61 to 76 key Nautilus, there's no incentive for a Kronos user to buy a Nautilus. I've seriously looked several times now at whether a Nautilus is a worthwhile addition, and I can't see a compelling argument. And if you consider the Nautilus, then spend a little more to get the equivalent Kronos. And as you say, buy a second-hand Kronos for less than a Nautilus. I've just made that point. The Kronos is also suffering from uncertainty of what's going to happen next, which is true. We don't know where Korg is going with the next generation of Kronos. But, with the Phantom coming out and all the new features that the Phantom has over the Kronos, even though I still think the Kronos is a better machine, I think, players may be swayed towards the Roland platform rather than the Korg platform. The weight and portability and functionality of the MODX make it a compelling argument for someone who is moving their board around from gig to gig. Even though I can move the Kronos by myself, I would normally have to have a friend make it safe to move around and not break my back in the process. And I've just covered that off on another question about hard cases. So there you go. That was a really, really interesting debate about Nautilus, MODX, Kronos and Montage. So, please leave comments. That would be really interesting to hear other people's take on that same subject.